The M1 iMac is a decent computer, but what if I told you that you could build your very own custom M1 iMac with the exact specs you need? You know what? That sounds like a good idea. Let's do it. Now, to preface this video, I'm not trashing the M1 iMac by any means. It's still a great choice, and you should buy it if you want that all-in-one experience. But if you're like me, you don't necessarily need all the features the M1 iMac brings to the table, like Retina display, webcam, speakers, or the included Apple mouse and keyboard, which personally I don't enjoy using. I also want the ability to customize or swap some parts out, or not be quite as limited by Apple's insane right to repair stance if something stops working or gets damaged. By the way, we partnered with Dr. Phone in this video to give away a brand new purple iPhone 12. More on that later. At its core, the new iMac is still just an M1 Mac, like a Mac Mini with a built-in screen. Except because of Apple's stupid pricing structure, you need to get the 8-core M1 iMac model to get any kind of proper functionality, like the extra GPU core and additional USB-C ports. This is going to cost you $1,500 US. So this got me thinking, what if you didn't have the budget for an 8-core M1 iMac? Or what if you perhaps already have a nice monitor or M1 Mac Mini, or maybe you wanted something similar to an iMac without buying an actual iMac? So I decided to make my own custom hybrid M1 iMac using an M1 Mac Mini as the brains and parts from other companies to complete the setup. Yeah, it looks a bit janky from the side, but it is really functional and has actually been awesome to use. For example, I can use it on my main desk with my Windows PC. If I want to swap from macOS to Windows, I simply click 2 buttons on the screen to change the screen input and tap 2 buttons on my keyboard and mouse to switch the Bluetooth over as well, and boom, 2 desktops with different operating systems on my desk. There's many more cool features, so let's build it, shall we? So when I was in the planning stages, I realized there were a couple of things that I really needed. First of all, a large 27-inch 4K screen. It needed to be height adjustable, which the M1 iMac is not. Also, it needed to be somewhat portable, so if I needed to move it to a different room, I could just do that very easily. And it also needs to be customizable, but for me personally, I didn't need speakers or a webcam, although those can easily be added in at a later date. So let's start with the screen first of all. So like I said before, it's a 27-inch 4K panel, and I'm using the Dell U2720Q. It's around $600 US, which is expensive for screens, so I'll mention a cheaper one a little bit later on. But I really do love the look and color scheme of this Dell monitor. It's kind of what I wish the iMac had looked like, because I really like those space gray and darker color schemes. Now, if you were building your own custom iMac, I'd go with something like the LG 27UK 650-W for about $340 US, as you don't particularly need the USB-C functionality that the Dell monitor in this video has. This video is brought to you by Dr. Phone Toolkit. Dr. Phone Toolkit is a complete solution for phone data recovery, file transfer, and system repair for Android and iOS devices. Has your phone stopped working? Did you accidentally erase all of your data, or did your cat push it off the table? Well, you can check out Data Recovery for iOS by Dr. Phone. This feature allows you to recover lost data such as contacts, messages, photos, and more, no matter how you lost it. Enter a unique family poster for a chance to win a purple iPhone 12. Check out the link in the description below for more. Now, in terms of mounting the M1 Mac Mini onto the back of the screen, you have a couple of different options. So you can use heavy-duty command strips, which are basically Velcro, and you can buy strips that can actually hold a weight of several kilograms, and that's going to be more than enough for an M1 Mac Mini. Now, I already had a Mac Mini mount from Sabrent, so I just used Velcro loops to hang it off the back stand. Now, this really does depend on your actual monitor of choice, but worst case scenario, again, you can just use those command strips to attach it onto the back of your monitor. You don't need to worry about heat either. The M1 Mac Mini doesn't get hot at all from my testing, and neither will these monitors. Now, this is going to make the custom M1 iMac almost as portable as the real M1 iMac. You can just take off the Mac Mini off the back, just unplug a cable and the whole thing will come apart, or you can even just pick the whole thing up and move it, but it's a little bit riskier if you do it that way, in my opinion. Now, moving on to cable connections, all I needed for my particular setup was the power cable coming into the monitor and also the Mac Mini, and then just a little short USB-C cable or HDMI cable connecting the M1 Mac Mini into the back of the monitor. Now, you can use a HDMI or USB-C cable depending on the inputs on your monitor, as short as 30 centimeters to actually connect the two together, which makes it all really nice and compact. You can also route all the cables through the routing hole in the back of the stand to make everything look nice and neat. Now, one thing to mention is if you want to connect your Mac Mini to the internet via an Ethernet cable, you totally can. You just have to route that through the little routing cable hole in the stand and attach it to the Mac Mini. It is an extra cable because obviously you don't get that really cool integrated Ethernet port power brick that you get with the M1 iMac, the 8-core model. So it is a little bit of a workaround, but it is possible. Personally though, I use Wi-Fi on my Mac Mini, as I probably assume most of you would do as well. Okay, so moving on to accessories. Now, this is where you basically have creative freedom. So I particularly like the MX Keys keyboard from Logitech. I have a whole review on that on my channel. Also the MX Master 3, they're both wireless, both work super well. But again, if you've already got keyboards or a mouse, you can use those as well. I also like the Keychron K6 mechanical keyboard, which is really cheap. I think it's about $50 on sale at the moment. That's a nice alternative as well. Personally, I really do not like the new Apple Magic keyboard. The keys feel really cheap, especially compared to the old one. And I've noticed when I'm actually typing on it, the keys really do not travel very well, and it almost feels like they get stuck, which is just not something that I enjoy while typing. Now, in terms of speakers, I don't personally use speakers because there's other people around. Generally, even with the iMac's improved speakers, they're not gonna sound anywhere good as a proper set of on-ear headphones. So I've gone with a pair of relatively inexpensive Audio Technicas, which get the job done for me. So moving on to actually using this custom M1 iMac, the experience has actually been really positive. So again, it's basically an all-in-one. It's just a screen right in front of you, nothing else, no bells and whistles. It's quite simple and minimalistic and really does not take up a lot of room on the desk. With the way I have this particular custom iMac set up, all the ports are on the top, so it's really easy just to move up a little bit and see where you can actually plug stuff into the back of the iMac. Unlike Apple's iMac, where it's just really awkward, and if you're using anything that isn't USB-C, you're gonna need an adapter. Now, another thing I really like is that, again, this monitor is completely adjustable, so you have a heap of room. You can swivel it left and right, lift it up and down, tilt it back and forward, which is just nowhere near the range of motion that you get on the M1 iMac from Apple. Now, some other things I really like about this custom iMac is that it's really upgradable. So if the new M1X Mac Mini comes out in a few months, for example, all I have to do is just sell off the M1 and get the M1X version of the Mini, and I just plug it into the back and I'm good to go. Also with the monitor, if I want to swap that out or upgrade it with, say, an ultra wide or a more color correct one for editing, I totally can. And if something does go wrong with any of the components in my setup, or I see another comment calling me an Apple shill, my fist goes through the screen and I break the screen, I can just swap everything out and just replace it or even repair it myself, instead of having to rely on Apple's really dubious repair policy. So let's quickly talk about pricing. Now, the M1 Mac Mini is about $650 on sale. Add a monitor, a keyboard, a mouse, command mounting strips, and that's about $1,165. But depending on your keyboard and mouse choices, that's anywhere from $340 to $400 left over if you need speakers or a webcam, for example. Which in my opinion gives you a lot of leftover room in the budget to mix and match or upgrade components as you see fit to make your perfect setup. Anyway, guys, that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed my take on this. If you have any comments or questions about this particular setup, let me know down below. But apart from that, I will catch you in the next one.